been put in by Manchester United. We have the latest breaking news on that. We're going to keep you updated as the news keeps coming out because we're getting more and more updates. Please make sure you smash the like button because it helps the channel grow. So do that for us. If you're not a subscriber, make sure you subscribe. And when you do subscribe, hit the notification bell icon so you never miss a live and you stay up to date with all the latest news. But let's just get straight into it and let's waste no time. Today started off a little bit slow, but we got this report earlier in the day about a few hours ago. We got an update from Sky Sports saying that Manchester United intended to remain disciplined and will not get drawn into a bidding war for Sesko. The club would want a clear indication that Sesko only wants to join them before formally bidding. And that was from Sky Sports. Well, about 45 minutes ago to an hour, we did get a report from Bild and from Jan Ange Forthoff, if I said his name right, German sources, of course, and they said that Manchester United had put in a bid for Benjamin Sesko. There was a little bit of skepticism because they've been a little bit hit or miss, Bild, with reporting Manchester United, and people were waiting for Ben Jacobs, or they were waiting for David Ornstein or Fabrizio Romano to say something. And about like 15 minutes later or so, David Ornstein did come with the Ornstein Boomba and gave us the update and said Manchester United make an offer to RB Leipzig for Benjamin Sesko. Proposal 75 million euros plus 10 million euros. They believe Sesko favors United. No reply yet from Leipzig. Newcastle are also working to close a deal. The updates that followed after we got the Boomba from Ornstein goes as follows. I'm going to take you guys through everything and I'm going to get to the chat. So get involved. Give me your thoughts. Give me your opinions in the chat. I want to hear from you. But Fabrizio came in and said United sent an official bid to show serious concrete intentions to Leipzig following Newcastle bid. Sources at United believe Sesko is keen on the move and decided to proceed with an official bid. Both clubs are waiting for his formal decision. We also then got another update saying Benjamin Sesko's decision will eventually determine his future. Now, despite our offer being slightly less than Newcastle's, because Newcastle also have apparently made a bid for Sesko. Ben Jacobs came with an update 24 minutes ago saying Manchester United believes Sesko wants to join and never planned to bid without the player buy-in. Formal offer made this morning following talks with Sesko yesterday. Ben Jacobs also gave us the update saying Newcastle's long-standing fear has been if both clubs offer like for like, Sesko would pick Manchester United. Ben Jacobs also saying United offer matches Leipzig's quoted fixed fee. 5 million euros of the add-ons are easily achievable, leading the club to consider the bid close to Newcastle's package. We also got another update saying Benjamin Sesko and his camp have reached a verbal agreement with United and Newcastle. The fundamental terms have been negotiated with both clubs. Decisive hours ahead. Sky Sports have chimed in saying that this is not the news Newcastle wanted. What an update that is. And Ben Jacobs, right now, 2 minutes ago, is saying Benjamin Sesko has now agreed financial terms with both Manchester United and Newcastle. Both club confident of reaching an agreement with Leipzig in the coming hours. United believes Sesko want to join them. So I'm just going to go ahead right now and just give my 2 cents. Number one, I know there's a bit of a discrepancy between the United fans with the fee. It is a bit high, but it's not that high. I mean, when you look at the striker market, when you look at what players are going for, I understand United fans have a bit of PTSD sort of with the whole Højlund thing and how much we paid for him and how it's sort of worked out since he's been here. I think United fans are a little bit afraid to do this sort of deal. But I've always said, and I've always believed, I said for the longest time, I said Ruben Amorim needs about 4 to 5 signings. He needs 4 to 5 players to give him the best possible chance. I think if you get in 4 to 5 players, you can make a big impact, big difference in the squad. We've gotten 2 who I very much like, Cunha and Mbuemo. They look very good. We need a striker. We definitely need a striker. As we saw in the match against Everton, we had Cunha kind of interchanging with Mbuemo on top. I don't really like it, to be honest. I think Cunha and Mbuemo probably are better off in the 10s position. I prefer them to play there, and I want an actual striker. I know many people have been saying, and they kind of switched around saying, we need a midfielder, a goalkeeper, and then a striker in that order. I would say that we need to get as many as possible. Again, I think the goalkeeper is probably the one that we may not necessarily be able to get, but I'm happy that United have made this bid. I was speaking to my father the other day, and he didn't believe that we had any money. So he didn't think that, we were going to make a bid because we had to we had to sell to buy, pretty much. But apparently we do have money. We do have money because we've made a bid, and it is a big amount of money. But if you look at the striker market and the prices that the strikers are going for right now, I think it's around that range. It's also close to what we've just spent on Cunha and Mbuemo. It's a little bit more expensive, but it's around that range. So it's not like completely crazy. Now the thing is, he's 22, and I've kind of been arguing this for a little bit now. There's been this debate between Sesko and Watkins. And listen, Watkins, Premier League experience, and he's just an experienced player in general. But I think Watkins, for the price of around Sesko, I don't really like it because of his age, and he's up there. And I don't think you have that much longevity in him. And then I worry about the resale sort of stuff, pertaining to him, because maybe you get 3 good seasons out of him at the top, at the Prem. Whereas if you're paying around the same money for Sesko, he's much younger. It's still a risk because he's a young guy. He plays in the Bundesliga. It might not work out, but maybe it does work out. But I think in terms of him being young, him fitting sort of the longer term aspect of the project, the longer term project, I think it works. And also, he has good attributes. I mean, he's tall, he's quick. He has a good finish on him. He can head the ball as well, something that we don't have. And we actually need a bit of height. Our squad is quite small. So, but let me get to the chat because I want to see what the chat is chatting about. So, Lyle is here. Says, hey, Eric and all you Reds. Nubis Kubis is here. Says, yo, Eric, are you moving there permanently? No, it may seem like I am, but I'm just on a unusually long vacation, I guess. I will be back eventually, but by the end of the month, I will be back. We will be back to normal settings. So Lyle says, I wonder what we are going to do about our midfield. It seems we prioritizing attack. Well, many people are wondering about the midfield and are concerned about the midfield. And I think rightfully so. I think from the matches we've seen in the preseason so far, I think it shows that, we do need an extra person in the midfield. You know what I mean? We do need an extra personnel in the midfield. That midfield seems at times, it just seems incomplete. It seems like something isn't really there. And we do need to add to it. I would say this. I believe personally, if we've made this bid has gone in, right? And if we complete this deal, I think probably, if we can sell Garnacho and we could get the money for Garnacho, and maybe an Anthony or something like that, and who knows what happens with Rasmus Højlund now as well, because there's been talks that, if we do go and get a Sesko, Rasmus might be pushed out the door as well. So we got to kind of see. But I do think, certainly probably after this one, I don't think we'll be able to probably buy until we actually sell a player or 2. My guess would be maybe we do this deal and then we hopefully get a player or 2 out, get some money, and then maybe we can get a midfielder before the window closes. I think the goalkeeper is probably one that we may either miss out on, or again, maybe we end up getting like a sort of a number 2 that can be a number one. I don't think, I've been saying I don't think Binder can be that guy. I don't think he is that guy. So, but I think personally, I mean, they've told us for a long time that United want the two tens, the striker, a midfielder, and probably possibly a goalkeeper if they could do it. And I think they're going in the order that we've been going in. We got the two tens. We're going for the striker right now. It's taken a while for the striker. But the bid is in. Hopefully it gets accepted, and hopefully he chooses to come to us. If we could get that deal done, then I think it's all hands on deck on two sales of players, so we can get a little bit extra money because we're probably going to need it, and then we'll probably look to get the midfielder in. It is going to be interesting because there has been some names for the midfield, but it hasn't been concrete because obviously I don't think we're there yet. So if the Sesko deal gets complete and we get it over the line, it's going to be interesting to kind of see who we're actually serious in about getting for the midfield position, because we do need, and as Lyle said, Everton game on Sunday showed why we need a midfielder, and we do. I think everybody is correct in that. Whoever's concerned about the midfield, and we've been concerned about the midfield probably since the end of last season. We've been saying that. Nubis saying that he doesn't believe anything is going to happen about the midfield. He says he guesses Amorim is fully committed to play Bruno and Casse and Ugarte there. I don't know if it will survive like that, though, Nubis, to be quite honest, because the midfield is a very, very important position and or area on the pitch. And it is a position where, or an area where it's going to dictate a lot of matches for us. And we need help. So I don't know. I don't think Ruben is... I don't think Ruben is 100% content. I think Ruben Amorim, I think like anybody that's probably in the position of Manchester United manager in the current moment, I think they would want to try and get as many players in as many positions as possible. I think, he will try his best to use what he's got available. But I think if you go to him and say, you want another midfielder or you don't want another midfielder, and he has the option of picking either one without restrictions, I think he would take another midfielder. So it is a bit weak. So Hesty says first bid breaks the internet. Well, we do tend to do that, Hesty. We do tend to do that. And I gotta make sure. See, the chat is not, I got to get all messages. Nubis says, it is the weakest link, but Amorim is willing to put his job on the line with the current players. I don't think he's willing to put his job on the line with the current players. I think in that sense, because it sounds like he's accepting. I think he has to deal with the situation, Nubis, of that United are where we are. But I think if you asked Amorim privately, he'd probably be telling you that, he wants as many players as possible. But we have to deal in a situation of reality. So, listen, I think as concerned as we've been, I feel a little bit fortunate or lucky the fact that we're even able to put in this bid of Sesko for this amount of money without having the need to actually sell the rest of the players that we actually need to sell at right now. Because in the Discord the other day, and if you're not in the Discord, we got the link in the description of the channel, but also I'm sure Lyle will drop it in the chat for you guys. But in the Discord the other day, I mean, Axe, one of our members, Axe Lord, was saying, and he has a very hard line on Amorim, but he said, Amorim's gotten the preseason, he's gotten his players in, no more excuses. And I disagree with it a little bit because, again, I've been saying that he needs, for him to have an actually good chance, yes, he's got the preseason, which is good. We look a little bit better, we look a little bit stronger, but I worry. I was worrying because I'm like, two players isn't enough. It doesn't feel enough. We need more. We need more. I've always said we need 4 to 5 players for him. I think 4 to 5 players, that's half of a starting 11. I think it changes the dynamic of the squad, and it gives him a fair and good shot and a good chance. Plus, the players that we got last season, who are now going to be in their second season, you look for them to improve and step up. And a couple other players like, Diallo, hopefully he stays fit. He was looking very good, and playing very well for us. And hopefully he stays fit and he plays the majority of the season. So yeah. Nubis says, I heard if Sesko chooses Newcastle, United are going to go after Samu at Porto or Pavlidis at Benfica. Well, I'll tell you what, Nubis. Pavlidis, I won't want him. I don't think he's that good, to be honest. And I have my friends that are Portuguese, lifelong Portuguese fans, because they're Portuguese. One of them is a Porto fan, one of them is a Benfica fan, and one of them is a Sporting fan. Samu looks good, and I think Porto just signed a striker, so I think they're getting ready for Samu to leave. So maybe there's a little bit of legs with that one. I wouldn't like Pavlidis, though. They don't rate Pavlidis that much. Even the Benfica fan, they make a lot of jokes about it. I don't think he's the one. I think Samu looks like probably the better option, and I'd rather go for him. But I think we'll get Sesko. I think we'll get Sesko. If Leipzig accepts the bid that we put in, and I think it's a choice between us and Newcastle, I think Sesko will choose us over Newcastle. I do. So I think we'll probably get him. If it goes between us and Newcastle, I just generally feel like that. I think there's something that seems like he just prefers United a little bit more over Newcastle. So, I mean, we got to see. I'm going to check to see if we get more updates too, by the way. So, Nuba says he wanted Bruno to stay badly, knowing that United were going after Cunha and Bumo. Where else is Bruno going to play? I mean, it is a bit of a headache. I was thinking about it the other day, Nubis, because I know the managers usually say that, it's a good headache to have. But I was looking at it and I'm like, but how do you really sort it out? Because sometimes Bruno looks okay in the 8, but sometimes he doesn't. And then there's a lot of this back and forth where you're like, yeah, he can play in the 8. And then you watch him play a match and you're like, nah, he's got to play the 10. And he's obviously the captain and he's going to have to play. And then you have Mbeumo and you have Cunha. So I think the one thing that's good is that Ruben likes to change personnel based on characteristics and attributes, which is his sort of changing. He doesn't change formations, but he changes the types of players he has in the positions. So in that aspect, I think it's good for him because I think he can mix and match. He's got to get it right when he makes those decisions based on the opposition that we're playing. But yeah, I think maybe we're probably going to see, Bruno maybe playing 8 sometimes and then maybe playing 10 sometimes. We do have a lot of options in 10. I mean, you can put Cunha and Mbeumo there. He's played Diallo there. You can play Bruno there. He puts Mount there. That's about 5 players for 2 spots. So it is a bit of a conundrum because it's not clear cut. In terms of what he's actually going to do. But we got to see. Dan Mazungu says, no more excuses. He's literally said the midfield is not what he needs. Listen, I mean, that's one of our members. It's his opinion. But this is what I'm saying. I think for Ruben, I've always said from the end of last season, for him to have the best possible chance to do good, he needs the preseason, of course. I think that's going to be a major help, which he's had. But I think in terms of personnel, 4 to 5 players new in, I think gives him a very, very good chance. If he doesn't get 4 to 5 players, I worry a little bit because obviously we've seen that group of players and how they were able to compete in the Prem. We also do have the aspect that, we're not in Europe. We're going to play less matches. We should be fitter. We have sort of still a big squad for playing these less matches, so we should be able to, maybe that helps us. Maybe it helps us. But I mean, if you look in terms of Arsenal when they finished eighth twice, um, I mean, they finished eighth and then they finished eighth again the next season, so it didn't really do that much for them. But by the third season, it worked for them. So, I mean, we got to see. Sandy's here. Sandy, how you doing, buddy? He says, hey, my friend, how are you? Are we going to message get the prayer, Sesko, or are we just joking? Well, the bid is in, so we're going to see what happens. And I'm going to check for you guys to see, because I'm sure we got more updates while we've gone live, but I can't check right now because I'm looking at the chat. If I pronounce your name wrong, I apologize. I try my best, but Akatusasira Collins says, when is the deal breaking up? What do you mean by that? Like not going through? What do you mean by that? You gotta be a little bit. I forgot Joshua. Oh yeah, I did. I forgot Xerxes. You're right. You're absolutely right. I forgot Xerxes because he hasn't played. There's Xerxes as well. So we got about 6 players for basically 2 slots, and then you can also argue. I mean, if you listen to Mbumo do his or Mbuemo, if you listen to his interview, he does kind of consider himself as a bit of a striker as well. And, Cunha has played there. There's Rasmus. Maybe we get Sesko. And then there's Joshua. There's Xerxes. And Xerxes can also play there too. So, it is a bit of a headache. But I think for Ruben, it works well because he does like to just change as many players as he can. That is his sort of philosophy, in that I can put these players in the same positions that have different characteristics, which changes how the team plays, or builds up, or attacks, or whatnot. So we got to see. I think the biggest thing is that he's going to have to get it right. He's going to have to get those decisions right. I think that's probably the biggest, one of the biggest factors going forward, is when he makes those decisions for the starting lineup based on the opponents that we're playing. He's got to get the call right. When do you start Bruno in the 8 instead of the 10? Or you put Diallo in 10. Because that's something that's 110% on him. You know what I mean? He's with the players, he's training, he's got to analyze, the opponent and make the right call. So that aspect definitely 100% goes all on him. Collins, I'm just going to call you Collins because it's easier for me. Collins says, I think Sesko to Man United will be a good move. I think it will be too. I mean, listen, we need the striker. He's athletic. He is. I mean, he's got a really high jump and he's tall. He's a good dribbler and he's got a good shot. The only thing is, he's young. He's 22, probably about to be 23, I think. And he plays in the Bundesliga, and you gotta come, to the Premier League. So, and the Premier League, the only thing with the Bundesliga that I say is decently good is that they do have sort of more pace in that league than obviously like the Serie A. And I think one of the things that I would argue against is the difference between Sesko and Højlund is Sesko has a lot more experience. Even, that they're around the same age. He has more experience. He's played more Champions League matches. He's played more matches for Leipzig, like at a higher level on a more consistent basis. Whereas when we bought Rasmus, we bought Rasmus out of his first actual real season, and he wasn't really there yet. And then we bring him to United to be the main guy. So I get the concern, but I think, listen, United have to do something. We can't do anything. And I'd rather prefer them do this than end up with, Callum Wilson or Dominic Calvert-Lewin or something like that. I'd rather go for this guy. I'd rather take the risk on this guy. I'd rather take the chance on this guy. I think it's a good move. So hopefully it gets accepted and we'll see what happens. Sandy says, but why is it that every time when it about to sign the players, we are too much law and we are not active on buying players, we are still crying? It's the United way. Listen, the United fans have very high expectations, as we should. The standards are high. We should keep the standards high, even though our club hasn't been the best and our owners have been trying to water down those sort of standards, I guess. We just want the best for the club. We want to return to where we are. So, and we have a lot of people around the world. I mean, we have probably, I would say, the largest fan base in the world. So you're going to get a lot of different opinions, a lot of different people, a lot of different ideas. So that's why. But listen, it comes. That's what happens when you're a United fan. It just comes. It's part of the club. Dan says Tesco's heading ability is what will be good because boom, Dorgu, Bruno, and Alma love the cross. They do, and we need that. We need that. I think one of the things is, sometimes there's Rasmus is in positions in the box and they don't necessarily cross to him, and we do see kind of what happens when they do give him that one or two crosses in the match. It doesn't really come off from his end, and partially part of me thinks, listen, I mean, they train with the guy every day. They play with him. They do training. I think they know that maybe he isn't the best in the air per se or heading the ball. So maybe they don't tend to cross to him more. I think if you get somebody like Sesko, who is actually good in the air and who can actually score headed goals, I think they'll be more inclined to actually cross the ball a lot more to him. And like Dan says, Dorgu, listen, he loves a cross. He needs to be a bit better in them because I think a lot of the times he does excellent to get in very good forward positions. He's good at dribbling. The crosses into the box have been a little bit of a letdown. But, if you have a guy that is going to get the ball with his head, I think the players will be a lot more inclined to actually cross the ball a lot more to him. So, we need a little bit more of that. And he is tall. I mean, we do have a small squad, so it does help, and he's physical, which helps as well because the Prem is the most physical, and I think we lack a little bit of that. But from what I've seen so far, I mean, the preseason, I know it's preseason, but I said the preseason is important. You want to do good in the preseason. You want to look sort of ready. I mean, listen, we're not 100%. It's preseason. You're not going to be 100%. But so far, what I've seen from the squad, we look much more ready than we did last season, going into last season, the start of the season, and the season before that. So I'm a bit encouraged. We got to continue it. We have a hard start to the league, very hard start. I mean, we have to play Arsenal first match. So I say, for me personally, I've been thinking about this, and I think I'm going to wait I got to see where we are. First 10 matches. First 10 matches of the season, I think is going to be a good indication because we have some big matches and it's going to be a bit tough. So I want to give about 10 matches to see, where we actually are. Because I think after 10 matches, you can tell, how good we actually are and where we're going to go. I was actually going to ask, with what we got right now, or what we seem to get, where do you think we can realistically finish, or where do you expect us to finish? Because, not for nothing, I asked the AI the other day, with the current squad and the additions that we had, and Sesko wasn't included. The AI said that they think that United can finish 8th. And I was like, well, that's not a good response because I don't think many United fans will accept 8th with the current squad and the way things went. Now, obviously, that's the AI, but I was just, because for me, I think, listen, obviously, we can't be mid-table or under mid-table, but I would prefer to see, if we're in there battling it out, I think Amorim, I would like to see him at least get the full season to see what we can do. But it has to go decently well for that to happen. I mean, if we're end of November and we're 14th, I don't think you can really sort of defend that at some point. I mean, it depends how far off we are. Buck says AI. Yeah, I mean, analysis, I did a deep search. I was wondering because, I guess it's not biased or whatever. And I was like, if you put in the couple players that we got, analyze the team, and compare it to the rest of the other teams, and what players they got, and what is the projection. So that's what it spit out. I was like, if I put that out on social media, United fans will crucify me for that, because they're not going to like that. But yeah, Lyle has dropped the link to the Discord as well. If you're not in the Discord, you should get in the Discord, because Discord we keep you up to date with all the news, the latest transfer news, and we have the chats offline when we're not live. And since I'm on vacation, I haven't been able to go live as much. The last live we did was I didn't even realize, I saw the other day, it was a little bit over 2 weeks ago, and didn't even feel like that. But I've been so busy, I haven't had the time to do so. So Collins asks, is Man United ready to buy a replacement for Onana? I think I think Ruben wants another goalkeeper, but again, we have to operate within sort of our means. And I think they've clearly prioritized the attack, as mentioned before. And listen, we've been told this for quite some time. You know what I mean? We've been told this since before the window even opened, that they want to revamp the attack and then kind of go backwards. So I think it's probably in that order, the way that it's gone. 2 10s, a striker. I think a midfielder's coming next. And if we have the means, a goalkeeper. And I know a lot of people don't certainly prioritize it in that order. But I think in terms of what the club has been telling us, I think they're going the way that they've decided to go. So I sort of agree with it in a certain sense. I've been saying that. I think, listen, I'm an attack-minded guy first. I think, listen, you can be defensively sound and stuff like that, but one of our biggest problems that we've had for numerous seasons is we've struggled to score goals. And if you can't score goals, or you don't score goals, we're not going to win matches. And we need to be able to score. So I think fixing the attack and making it a lot more threatening and actually score a lot more goals, I think is going to help immensely. But then obviously, there's other positions that are important, like the midfield is going to make a big difference. And we do need to add something there for sure. And then even the goalkeeper, because, Onana's not good enough. He's not good enough. And there's always a mistake in him. And I just don't think he was the correct buy when we made it. So Box says, yo, Eric, yo, Box, what's up? Box says fifth is up for grabs. I hope so. Box says we could be 5th to 15th. And that's the thing right now. It's kind of the feeling. Like, we don't really know because of the way last season went. I think there was a lot of factors that happened last season in terms of that. Like, we didn't have the best start to last season. We sacked the manager, 2 months into the season. We bring in Ruben, who plays a totally different style and different way. And he came from the Portuguese league and he wasn't adjusted to the Prem, and he had to learn, and the players had to learn, and there wasn't a lot of time, and we were playing a lot of matches, and I think it was very, very tough, very, very tough. But I've been listening to Ruben, the press conferences. I've been listening to what he's saying. I've been listening to what the players have saying. I don't buy too much of what the players saying, because for me, the players, it's like, you've been saying, the players have been telling us stuff for so long, and they don't prove it on the pitch. So from the players' point of view, I mean, you're going to do your PR, your little interviews, and, say that the squad's more together, and, Luke Shaw talking about that he believes Ruben is the guy and stuff like that. And Luke Shaw's been through 5 managers, and is never fully fit for us. Just for the players, like I always usually say, just do your talking on the pitch. But in terms of, what Ruben's been saying and stuff like that, I think he's been pretty on message with basically what he said and what he believes. And listen, I just hope that he's able, because I believe him. I believe what he says. I don't think I think the stuff that he tells us, I think, is what he believes. I think it's the truth. I don't think he is saying things to try and make things seem like they're okay. I mean, he tells you, listen, like, we believe this, but at the same time, he tells you, listen, I do understand that we're not going to be perfect. Everything's not going to be 100%. We're going to have a little bit of downs. We're going to have ups. I expect to have ups, but we're also going to have downs. And so I think what he says, he's telling us the truth. He's made some big statements, and just my hope for that is that it translates to the pitch. It translates to the pitch. I want to see some of the things that he's been saying. I want to see it actually translate to the pitch. So, yeah. Mr. Ondero is here. Says, hiya, walk away, Reds. We can't be spending that amount of money on a striker that might succeed. We need a proven Premier League striker. Go for Watkins. Rasmus and Cheeto can learn from him. Well, that is one of the opinions out there that is sort of popular. I mean, some people are not okay with the money to be spent on a player like Sesko. And that is sort of the thinking behind that, they say might succeed. And I do get it, but I always hold the belief that, listen, we need to spend money. We need to take a little bit of a risk. I think with the way Ineos have been going about getting in players, I think they've been better in getting in better players. We're going to see with Cunha, and we're going to see with Mbuemo, of course, and we'll see with Sesko as well. I think this Sesko thing also comes down to Vel. And I've always said Vel, I think, is probably, in my opinion, he's probably the best guy we've got in terms of football personnel. I probably rate him better than Jason Wilcox, sorry, Ashworth. Jason Wilcox. I rate him better than him. And he has connections to Leipzig, and he knows the player. And Vivel has a very good track record of players. So I'm willing to take the risk on it. I'm willing to take the risk on it. And I think, why not? Let's go for it. Because we got to do something. We got to do something. And I'd rather them do this. Box says Lemans, Himland plus Sesko would be great. Yeah, if we could do something like that, that would be good. I did see there was a Honland, or whatever his name is. I saw there was a link or two to him. But let's see what happens after this whole striker fiasco sort of thing. Box says, there's no reason why we can't compete with Tottenham, Villa, Newcastle, Palace, Forest, Brighton, Fulham, and Bournemouth. There isn't, really, I guess on paper, but it's all about how we turn up. You know what I mean? It's really about how prepared we are, and how, how we actually perform on the pitch. I think we can, Box. I think we can. It just depends on the personnel that we already have at the club and how improved they are, and how much Ruben has been, and our coaches have been able to sort of improve them, how much of they've learned, but also themselves as well. A lot of people have said that our players look a lot leaner. They're pressing more and they're running more, which is a good indication in the beginning before the season even starts. That's what we want to see. That's a minimum. We've been asking for that for quite some time. So, I think we need to, we got to be able to do those things at the very least. I feel quite positive in terms of that. I think we can compete. But, we'll find out when we start playing. So we'll see on the first match. I mean, the first match is a tough test. But I don't shy away from these tough tests because we need them. We got to play Arsenal. I think, Axe made a good point, and I agree with it in the Discord. He said it last time. He said, we were joking around. We said, United Championes because we won the Premier League, Summer League. And I said Amorim 20 years because he's won a trophy now. But, he said, let's not get carried away, of all people, Axe said it. But he said, we're going to play Arsenal, and he said it's going to be a good test to see where we actually are. And I agree, and I want it. I want it. Bring it on, because you can't shy away from the big matches. You gotta show. And Bach says Arsenal won't be firing on full cylinders in the first game, in my opinion. And neither will we, though. That's the thing. I don't think we will either. We're not. Listen, we've looked pretty good in the matches we played. The Everton match was one where, it showed what's coming, or where we are a little bit more. We had some good periods, but then we also had bad periods. There was some periods where we looked good going forward, and attacking, but then also there was a large chunk of the game where we went to sleep a little bit. We fell off. We were a bit sloppy. We weren't connecting on everything. And also, I think, just in terms of like the new additions like Cunha and Buemo, there's got to be a little bit more chemistry built in there, a little bit better understanding between, the other players in the squad. I think that comes with a little bit of time. And that's why I said, over the first 10 matches, I expect the levels to go up. If we're going to actually do something, if we're actually going to be competitive, there should be improvements as we go through the matches. So, yeah, I mean, I don't expect Arsenal to be firing on full cylinders in the first game, but we're not going to be either. So I expect it to be a tough match, but we will see. We will see. Temeskin says, yes, I like Sesko. Will come to United is better for next season, please. Yep, absolutely. Hesty says, I hope Leipzig and Sesko's agent won't make it hard for us. Well, hopefully not. Listen, I think we put it in close to Newcastle. I think the only thing that I have a concern maybe is Leipzig, because there was a report that they kind of wanted a bidding war. And maybe they reject something, or maybe they reject both, to try and up the bids, since there's two teams in. So we'll see. Colin says, I think they will try to qualify for UCL as their main target. That is the main target, Collins, for sure. Because we need Europe. We can't not be in Europe. We can't actually not afford to be in Europe, as much as it's like, just a bad look or whatever, or it's embarrassing. Besides that, we actually can't not afford to be in there. Also, just in terms of like the club project, you need to try and get back into the UCL, or at the very least in some sort of European competition. And when I say some sort of European competition, I don't mean the Conference League. I mean, at the minimum, Europa League. You got to be in Europe. For United to do 2 seasons back to back, not being in Europe, is total catastrophe and disaster. And we can't actually afford it. So I think that is their aim. I think that is their goal. I mean, there was a report a couple months ago that that's what Sir Jim and co have kind of laid out for Ruben Amorim, is to get back into the UCL or Europe. So, yeah. If you're new, you could get involved in the chat. We want to hear from you. And also, please make sure you smash the like button, just a reminder, because it does help the channel grow. And we greatly appreciate your support if you enjoyed the content. So just smash the like button for us. Yeah. Lyle said that what we must remember, new players are coming into a changed United, culture-wise, etc. It could work out better than before. Wishful thinking, of course, but any signing is a gamble. And it is true. Listen, any signing is a gamble. It's always a gamble. The point is you have to kind of take calculated risks, I would call them. And I think since Ineos has come in, the one thing, listen, I know there's a lot of scrutiny about Ineos, about the way they're doing things, but I do try to be fair, and I do say that the players that we've gone after so far, the amount of money we've spent, we've been better at it than we've done in the past. And I think so far they're doing a good job. Now let's see what happens with, the players that we're getting this season. Let's see how this season goes. And, we'll judge it from there. But I mean, there's a lot of things. Ruben's mentioned it before. We're changing a lot. We're trying to change the culture, the diet, the way the players handle things, the mentality. There's a lot of things that we need to change. So hopefully a lot of it comes off, and hopefully we start to see a lot of, the fruits of the labor, I guess, come from that sort of stuff. Those things do take time, but we've been doing sort of these things in the background. I think if you're doing the right thing, we should see progress at some sort of level. You know what I mean? Maybe it takes, it does, those things take time, and maybe to get to where we actually want to be, it takes a good fair bit of time. But along the way, we should see steps. We should be like, okay, we were here at one point, and now we're here. We didn't go from here to here, but we're here, and then we got to take the next one. So we got to see. And Daryl says, fair point, but for me, Sesko is the kind of deal you go for when you're a successful side. I've said that sort of kind of before as well. We are a fractured club that needs proven players, Cunha and Buemo. We have to continue there. Yeah, I get that, and I've kind of said that as well. I've said that before, definitely, for sure. I know I've said that for sure, because we've sort of taken massive risks already, and because of where we are, like Liverpool can take a massive risk on Ekatike because they've already won the league and they're already playing very good. Like Arsenal can take a risk on Gyökeres because they've been performing consistently well over the past couple of seasons. And they're close, so you can take that risk. With United, we haven't been there. We're not there. And after the season we just had, you kind of want to take, like I just said, more calculated risks, minimize the percentage of failure. You have to take one that's more better. But at the same time, for the striker position, I think, listen, if you could get Watkins for 45 million, I would be okay with it. I wouldn't be against it, and I agree with it. But when they're asking for about the same money as Sesko, I think financially wise, footballing wise, it makes a little bit more sense to go for Sesko, because if it doesn't work out, you can probably get some money back for him, considering he's young, as long as it doesn't go absolutely horrible. Plus, the deals that we're doing, better wages, so we should be able to move a player on, and try and minimize, how much we actually spend on them in a total package. I think it probably makes a little bit more sense, the fact that he's younger, in that aspect, because with Watkins, he's proven, and you can make the argument as well, he's proven, so the money you spend, if it's the same as Sesko, could be called the minimized risk as well. But then I kind of look at the future going forward, and if you get 3 good years out of Watkins, he'll be about 34, and you're not going to get any money back for him after that. And then also, we're going to have to, if Cheeto doesn't develop properly or does well, then you're going to have to go for another striker. With Sesko, there's the option of, it is a risk. It might not work out, but he's 22. He could literally be the striker at United for the next 10 years if it works well and he does well. So, there's positives and negatives for everything. But I don't know. I think I'm okay with the Sesko thing. I'm okay with the Sesko deal. I think in the one position, considering who he is, I'm willing to take the risk, like in terms of, I'm okay with United sort of taking this risk on Sesko. It might not work out, which won't be good, but I hope it does. I feel like it can. I feel like he has certain qualities and attributes. And also, I think kind of like, if you've seen any videos of him, he kind of has like that sort of character as well, that I kind of feel like Amorim and the club are kind of building up. I mean, Cunha has a certain personality and attitude, and Buemo is a bit quiet, but also when you listen to his mentality and his attitude, or his mentality, the way he thinks, he sort of has that characteristic as well. And I think we have a couple other players already part of the squad. I mean, Bruno is obviously one of them. I think Lisandro is one of them. I think Delo is one of them as well. Whether you rate him or not, I think he has a good character, good attitude, and I think that's important. I mean, even the other day, not for nothing, like, I don't think it's like, the biggest thing in the world. But I mean, just to see the team, little things that they're talking about, just to see the team having like a full team photo after like a dinner or something, and everybody's there and everybody's together. The squad, it does feel, in terms of what we're seeing so far, that they are a little bit more connected with each other, that there is a little bit more of like a union feeling. Whereas before, when we were watching the squad, it felt like a lot of the players were very disconnected to each other. They didn't understand each other, or maybe they didn't really get along with each other. Like, everybody in the squad doesn't have to be best mates. When we used to win Premier League titles, when we had Keane and Neville and Scholes and Giggs and whatever, some of them were very close together. But we had players where like Sheringham didn't get along with York or whatever, but they all played together and they had an understanding that like we have a job to do, and when we go on the pitch, they still understood each other to a certain level, and they still played with a certain sort of professionalism. And I kind of felt like our previous squads have been really missing that. It felt really disconnected between the players. And now it seems like Amorim is trying to build that. And I think that's important because that's something that I fully believe is something that you need to have in a squad for it to even be competitive. We have to have a certain level of understanding, and just respect and like sort of professionalism between the players. Colin says Anthony is leaving United. I'm going to check the news in a second. Nubis says if they reject, should United come back with a higher bid or just move on to another target? 74 million is already a huge bid. I don't know if you can go much higher, Nubis. I don't know if you could go much higher. I think United have put in this bid in hopes that it will get accepted. I don't know. I kind of have a feeling that United don't really want to go and put in a second bid. I think they've put in a bid because Newcastle has done so, and I think they're trying to show like, we are serious about this and we're going to get involved because we don't want to lose this player. If it gets rejected, I don't know if United are going to go higher. They might just let it go. I kind of feel like at this point, because it is kind of already a bit high. But I think it's borderline high. I think you're talking about it, a couple million here and there. And listen, the add-ons, I don't tend to count the add-ons really, because the add-ons, it's more about the base fee. The add-ons are add-ons. Like, I know we end up paying them, but if you're paying add-ons, that means the player is performing well. So it's money that it's worth spending. You know what I mean? It kind of pays for itself. The base fee is the most important thing, in my opinion. So, but I think when I looked at it previously, for a player that has his goal scoring record in the Bundesliga in the past 2 seasons, I think it's already probably, I don't think you could go much higher. I mean, like I said in the beginning of the show, I understand the market. I mean, you look at the market, you look at what the strikers are going for. It's in that area, so it makes sense. But I just don't think you can really go much higher than that. I think it's a fair price. They're getting a good amount of money, and I just don't think. Honestly, I don't think it should get rejected. I don't. So, Lyle says Sesko signs first game. We see 2 teams playing with each other's main targets. Twist of fate, and I love that. I think if that happens, it's going to be absolutely fantastic because I love irony, and I see it a bit ironic because we all pretty much, or a lot of us, wanted Gyökeres, and Gyökeres obviously went to Arsenal, and Arsenal were trying to get Sesko first, and then they moved on to, they were trying to get Sesko first, they moved on to Gyökeres, and now we've gone in for Sesko, so I think it'll be a bit ironic. I would love it. I think it ups the stakes a little bit more. It's going to make it a bit more interesting, definitely, because who's going to score, who's going to perform better in that match, and obviously we hope it's Sesko. So Bach says there is no proven players in his opinion. I mean, to a certain extent, yes. To a certain extent, no, Box. I get that. But I mean, there are players that you can argue, like, listen, if they're adjusted to the league, the Premier League, they've played in the Prem, they do have, I guess you would say, they're proven that they can at least compete in the league or against teams in the Premier League, or that they fit, I guess, sort of the football that plays in the Premier League. Whereas, like, if you get a player from outside of the league, they can be a good player, but maybe they don't necessarily do well in, England. Maybe, the culture or the weather or just the football in general doesn't suit them. And if somebody is in the Prem for a few years and they play and they do decently well, that's sort of what I say by proven. But then at the same time, I would say that just because that happens, I've always said when you come to Manchester United, it's a different story. Like, yes, you can play well at Brentford, but when you go to United, you have to adjust anyway. You have to. There's an adjustment period anyway because United is United. We could be shit. We can be 15th, but we're still Manchester United. We're still the largest one of the largest clubs in the world. We're one of the most criticized. We're one of the most scrutinized. There's a lot more pressure. There's a lot more eyes. There's a lot more talk about you. So just because you play good in a Premier League team doesn't mean that because you're proven in the Prem means that you're going to come to United and it's going to go well, because United is just a whole different beast. It's a whole different story. So it's a little bit yes and no for me. I mean, I get that, but I do think that, in terms of, like, if you go and get a player like we've done with, like, Anthony, for example, or even like Erasmus and maybe even a Sesko, like they do play in other leagues. They do have to come to United, move to a different country. They have to get accustomed to, the weather, the culture, whatever. And then the league plays a different football. So it's different, speed, strength, style. So if you get somebody that's been at Brighton for 4 years and they perform consistently well, that they can at least compete in the league. Like Bach says, like Alexis Sanchez was proven and he was a flop, and that could absolutely happen. I don't think anybody should get it confused that, like, just because they play good in the Prem at another Prem team doesn't mean that they are 100% going to work at United. United is just it's a different beast, and it has happened. I mean, we've seen loads of players that have played for smaller teams in the Premier League go to bigger teams, whether it's United, Liverpool, Chelsea, Arsenal, whatever, and not do well when they make those sort of big moves to the bigger team. So it can happen. And Box says everything is a gamble, and I think rightfully so. You can definitely make that argument for sure. Where are we? Lyle says, I wouldn't be too mad if Sesko and Hoyland are here next season. Hoyland looks hungry and the competition could benefit them both, but that's just me. Listen, I'm not against Rasmus staying. I mean, I've always said just get another striker in. I'm okay with that. If Rasmus stays, Rasmus stays. I think there's a lot of people that they don't want Rasmus and they want him sold. And you know what? I get it. But I don't necessarily have a problem with Rasmus staying. I've always just said just get another striker because we need him. We need another striker. If Rasmus stays, like Lyle's pointed out, I do agree with that. I mean, he does look hungry so far. I think he has a point to prove, which is always good. You want the player to be hungry. You want the player to prove a point. You want the player to be, locked in a certain sense. And I think the competition would be good for him as well. And also just to bear the load a bit, and take a little bit of the pressure off. I liken it a little bit to kind of Maguire. We got Maguire. Once the captaincy was off Maguire and his role was sort of reduced, he just became, I mean, and it took some time. Obviously, he was here for a while, so maybe you can make that argument. But he was just able to focus on himself a lot more. And I think his game improved after that. So I think you can make maybe a similar argument for Rasmus. If he's got somebody to bear the load with him, take a little bit of pressure. Maybe he could focus a little bit more on himself. Maybe he won't feel the entire weight of his shoulder, the entire weight of the world on his shoulders. So, Lucky Singh says, Prasmus Hoyland, you have no room for you. Buck says Obi is 17. He won't figure much anyway. Yeah, I think right now it's probably too early for him. He needs to develop more, for sure, at this point. Bach says, Xerxes says he is not a center forward as well. I mean, we'll see. We'll see. I prefer him in the 10, but I mean, if he thinks he's a striker, show me. Show me. Show me. Lucky says, watch when gets exposed next season. Bach says they're proven at a certain club or level, not Man United. Yeah, I think that's a fair point. We've always said that. Listen, when you come to United, it's a different beast. You have to take that into account. You have to take that into factor for sure. How about Xerxes in that midfield? Well, we could use him as height, because we kind of need height and maybe a little bit of strength. Hesty says, I don't want Rasmus to go. We need two strikers. One is a backup. Xerxes is not a striker, and Obi is too young. Well, I've always said I'd prefer to have two strikers, for sure. So, I'm okay if Rasmus stays. If he leaves, I get it. I understand, because the club will make that move. I get it. But, if he stays, it's not like, it's the end of the world. I actually prefer it. I said at the end of last season, I said I would prefer to have two strikers. I mean, you never know. Like, if we do get Sesko, what if Sesko isn't playing well? Or what if Sesko gets injured? And Rasmus is gone. Then we don't necessarily have a striker again. And vice versa. I mean, what if Rasmus, if Rasmus stays, if Rasmus isn't playing well or Rasmus gets injured, we have Sesko at least. So, yeah. Premier League proven Onana or non-Premier League proven Donnarumma. But I mean, Onana is not Premier League proven. You know what I mean? He's not. He's come and he's proved that he clearly is not the right guy. Not the right guy. Even like an Anthony. I mean, Anthony looked good, playing for Ajax, but he came to United and it didn't go well, right? And he went to Spain and he balled out. I think because Anthony's qualities, and also you have to be at United as well. And compared to Betis, it's not the same. But even Anthony's qualities, we said before Anthony had the move, most of us said we think Anthony would probably play well in La Liga because of the way he plays, the qualities he had. It's just we were bad at scouting and buying, and we clearly brought in a player that wasn't good enough to handle the Prem or didn't have the qualities to play in the Prem. So, Lucky says he's with Roy Keane. Andero says Shevchenko, Morientes, Forlan, Torres at Chelsea. All signings are a gamble, but far more likely that a proven Premier League player will succeed before players abroad. I've seen it myself personally. Yeah, I think it's. Listen, again, that's what I think. You can make an argument that it's a less of a gamble. I think, like we probably all said, it's all signings are a gamble, but I think you could definitely make the case or the argument that it could be less of a gamble. It's still a gamble. So, Box says most Premier League players we have signed the last 12 years have flopped. Well, I think most players that we've signed from everywhere have flopped, and that's just because we were bad at recruitment. So it's a bit hard to judge in that aspect because the last 12 years has just been bad. You know what I mean? I think regardless, Premier League players, non-Premier League players, it just seems like whatever player we were getting from anywhere or everywhere, they were just the wrong player for what we needed or to fit the Prem. So I'm gonna check the news real quick. So give me a second. I can't see the chat at the moment, but I want to see if we got any updates while we've been live, which I'm sure we probably did. I think there's no way we didn't get updates. Yeah, we got some updates. So let me scroll back to how long have we been live for? About an hour now. So let me scroll back about an hour, and let me bring them to you. Yep, there's a good amount of updates. I mean, gotta go back further, 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 a little bit further. All right, so there is some big updates here. There is some big updates here. So I have I follow a lot of accounts, so some of them are okay. We did this one. Okay, so yep, we did that one. We did that. All right, so Simon Stone gave us an update saying Manchester United are confident that Benjamin Sesko wants to join the club. RB Leipzig did not accept Newcastle's most recent offer. So Newcastle's offer has been rejected. United, again, being repeated that we are confident that Sesko wants to join the club. I think that's clearly obvious as to, we've put in the bid. I don't think we wouldn't have put in the bid if United wasn't confident that Sesko wants to join. So we clearly held talks with him. He's given the green light. He clearly wants to join United. So we're that far at the very least. What else do we got? So Ben Jacobs, and I know this doesn't have to do directly with United, but it sort of kind of does in a sort of way. But Nicholas Jackson, this is from Ben Jacobs. Nicholas Jackson is another name on Newcastle's list of attacking options, and Chelsea are open to a sale. There have been some initial club-to-club talks already. Brentford's Wisa is another target, with the player pushing to join Newcastle. Several options discussed. So, I mean, it's a bit interesting because they're trying to go for Sesko, but Ben Jacobs also, saying that they are looking at Jackson and Wisa. So maybe we get a clear shot at this, especially if Sesko is leaning into United, and maybe Newcastle pivot, and it just gives us a straight shot, and we get this over the line. Muppeteer says Sesko and his camp held talks with both clubs yesterday and encouraged the bids. So yeah, that was reported before. One of the things is that the price for Sesko has always been £69 million. If we're all happy with that, then going up to £75 million with add-ons included shouldn't be an issue. And that's kind of what I was saying. Like, listen, the add-ons are add-ons, and I get it. And, Sky Sports are going to say United signed Sesko for £75 million. But really, at the end of the day, the base fee is really all that matters. At £69 million is just a tad more than I would have liked. But listen, we spent around the same for Cunha and Buemo, so it is the club sort of staying on key in what they believe and what they're doing. So I'm not too fussed with it. And then again, if we do end up paying the $75 million with the add-ons, that's not a problem, because that means that he's performing. So it's money that is worth it. But we do have to watch out, because Newcastle's bid for Sesko has not been accepted, which I guess we got to see what that means, because from my understanding, from what I read, I think our bid was a little bit lower than Newcastle's, but we had a different aspect. I think maybe we were giving them more money up front, but the total package is a little bit less than what Newcastle offered. I think I read that somewhere. So if I'm right, if I'm wrong, correct me, but I think I could have swore I read that somewhere. So Sky Sports Keith has said a source has confirmed that the player prefers Manchester United. He is open to both options, but if forced to choose between them, Manchester United would be the choice. Leipzig will leave the decision to the player. That came 46 minutes ago. There's also another slight update. Just going to pivot real quick because this does have an impact on United. There's been talk about Mason Greenwood getting bought from Marseille. But apparently, this is from Ben Jacobs, and he said that Marseille would demand 90 million euros for Mason Greenwood. Manchester United still hold 50% of his economic rights, but Marseille have no intention to sell this summer, and Greenwood doesn't want to leave either. So people were hoping that we get some money for Mason Greenwood, but with that update, it doesn't look like it's going to happen, or at least they're driving a hard bargain. So I mean, we'll see. We do get 50% of that sale. So if they sell him for 80, we get 40, which would be very, very good money for us. Okay, so this is what I was talking about before. So United have made a bid worth just under 85. I hate that they keep switching it in euros and pounds. So just, deal, just bear with us. But United have made a bid worth just under 85 million euros, which is 75 million euros plus 10 million euros in add-ons to RB Leipzig for striker Benjamin Sesko. Newcastle's second bid was higher and more upfront, which is 80 million pounds, 80 million euros plus 10 million euros in add-ons. Sesko has been open to both projects, but one source has said he is leaning towards United. So, I mean, let's see if I get to the end of updates. Let's see if they clear this up for us, because apparently Newcastle's bid has been rejected, but their bid was higher and more upfront than ours. And if they've rejected Newcastle's bid, then I feel like they're probably going to reject our bid, unless Sesko pushes behind the scenes and says that he wants to go to United and kind of forces them into that lane. But that's not what we're being told. We're being told that he's open to both, but he prefers United. So if he's open to both, he's not telling them it's United or nothing, kind of like Mbuemo did. Fabrizio has said sources at Manchester United guaranteed that their feeling is that the deal between Newcastle and Sesko is not done yet because the player is waiting for them. Interesting updates. There's more. Fabrizio also saying United's second message to Newcastle: you are bidding, but we also have the money. We are also in the race. The club wants to show that they can compete. I think rightfully so. They should be doing that. What else do we got going on? What else? Mike McGrath and Jay Burt in the Telegraph said it is hoped that a decision from Sesko will be made on Tuesday, which is today. So let's see. I'm sure we're going to get some more updates in the next couple, hours or so. We did just get one 3 minutes ago. Or 4 minutes ago. Sully talks. I think you take this one with a little bit of a grain of salt, because I don't think he's the most, he's not the most respected. I don't think he's like, a liar or anything, but I do see some people that they don't per se like him. But the update that we just got is that internally, again, it's pretty much all the same stuff right now. Internally, the belief at United is they expect Sesko to pick them after positive talks in the last hours and days. Formal bid went in with decision expected imminently. Ineos want fast resolution with player financial terms done. So I guess really right now, we just got to sit and kind of wait and see. It's basically up to Leipzig. It's up to Leipzig. Leipzig have to accept the offer that we put in for this to advance. I think it's been made pretty clear that he wants to come to us. He prefers us. We obviously are in for him. We've put in the bid. So it all comes down to RB Leipzig. I'm a little bit worried because of what's being said right now in terms of the fact that Newcastle's second bid was higher than ours, and according to Samuel Luckhurst, it's been rejected. So I kind of feel like they're gonna reject ours. I hope they don't, but it just common sense. If they have the higher bid and they rejected it, and we put in a lower bid, I don't see how they're gonna accept it really. So I don't know. Have Newcastle signed anyone yet? Seems like they have been rejected everywhere. I'm not sure. Oh, Ramsdale and Elanga. Oh, yeah. That's true. That's true. Bach says, seeing Southampton want 50 million for Dibbling, plus Chelsea wanting 80 million for Jackson, shows where the market is right now. The market is crazy. And also, not for nothing, but Southampton wanting 50 million for Dibbling. How are we not getting 60 million plus for Alejandro Garnacho? That's one of the things. And then 80 million for Jackson. How are we not getting close to that? For me, it doesn't really make sense. I don't really get it. I think that's probably why Garnacho hasn't gone anywhere, because we're like, yo, are you looking at the market? You're trying to offer us 40 million for Garnacho. So United have to be a little bit smarter there. But I think teams are playing games with us. But we're also playing games with them, because it's been reported the whole entire time. Before the window even opened, it's been constantly reported that United only have a certain amount of money, and that United would have to sell to buy. Now, to be fair and to give credit, because we sort of questioned and we sort of criticized them. Omar, when he spoke, said that we have money to do deals. And Ruben also said the same thing, and said that we do have money to do deals, and that we don't have to rely necessarily on player sales, even though he did say once or twice that we do have to sell players. But they kept saying that we do actually have money to do deals. And so far, with this bid going in, that's 3 players for close to 180 million, or a little bit higher, that it's going to come out to. So I think we are playing a bit of games, but I think teams are playing a bit of games with us in terms of the players that we're trying to sell. Rashford's gone in terms of a loan, which is good, and we're saving about 15 million just on wages from him, which is good. But then there's other teams they're trying to hold out till the end of the window to kind of put the pressure on us so they could get a better deal. But I think part of the problem, and I think it's good from United, is that we seem to have money. So I think the teams that are trying to wait, and I think even this bid going in, I think maybe has shocked some of these other clubs that think they can try and pin us into a corner at the end of the window and force us to sell players for far less than what we want. Now, I think they're probably still going to hold out to that, because they know that we want to get the players out. And, at a football club, you don't want to keep players that are not wanted or not needed. It's just not something that clubs do. So I think they're going to keep trying doing that. But I don't think I don't think they're in as strong as a position as I think they actually believed, because I think a lot of these clubs probably bought into some of the, I guess, hype, I would call it, or word, that United at some point to do transfer business, we're going to need to sell to buy. And I think they were waiting, or they've been waiting for United to, do a couple deals and then be like, oh shit, we ran out of money and now we need to sell. And they were probably waiting for that opportunity to come in and then lowball us. But I think doing this of what we just did, this bid, I think they're probably like, oh shit, like they still have money, like, and they actually, what's going on. I think maybe they've been taken a bit of a surprise. Um, and if that's something that, Sir Jim and Ineos and everybody else at the club kind of um, formulated as sort of a plan or a plot, I mean, it is a bit clever. I give them credit for that. I mean, I don't know if that's actually, what they were trying to do. But yeah, Newcastle should refuse to offload Isaac, in my opinion. I mean, they should do everybody a favor and literally refuse to sell Isaac to Liverpool, because I mean, listen, if Isaac goes to Liverpool, it's cooked. It's cooked. It's absolutely cooked. So, Lyle says, full Geordie meltdown on the cards. Would love to sign Sesko solely for that reason. Newcastle fans have given Gunner fans a run for their money this window. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, full Geordie meltdown if we get Sesko and then they also lose Isaac. They're gonna go crazy. Box says, didn't we offer more money than Arsenal for Gyökeres? Maybe we did, but the thing is, Box is listen. The whole thing about Gyökeres, is that he just it was the same thing. I mean, he just preferred to go to Arsenal over us because mainly the Champions League. I don't even know if we actually offered the money. As far as I know, I don't think we didn't officially put in a bid. As far as I know, I mean, I think it was talked about. Maybe we kind of did, but I don't think, it's not like this Sesko thing. As far as I remember, and I think probably the reason for that, and I was going to say, is because in the talks, Gyökeres, it was kind of similar. It was kind of a similar situation. Like, he preferred Arsenal. He didn't necessarily say no to us, but we weren't the first choice. So I think when United were basically told that, we were kind of sticking around to see what, was going to transpire. But once it was more abundantly clear that, like, Arsenal actually seriously in this, I think we backed off, because United were never actually going to go out there to put in to go for a player that clearly is prioritizing another club over us. I think the reason why we're seeing us getting involved in the Sesko thing is because Newcastle has jumped in. Newcastle has been first, but clearly with the discussions that we've had with Sesko and his agent, they've clearly been given an indication that he prefers us over Newcastle. I think if we weren't given that indication, I don't think we would have made this bid at this moment in time, when they have. So, Nubis says, if I remember correctly, there is a rumor that Sesko and RB have a gentleman agreement similar to Gyökeres and Sporting, but he has a really good relationship with RB and they're going to honor it. I don't know about that. I didn't see that. Maybe does, maybe doesn't. I mean, it kind of feels that way, considering the news that's coming out in terms of, like, how it's being handled, in terms of that, like, he's not, it doesn't seem like he's looking to cause problems for RB Leipzig, and RB Leipzig don't seem like they're looking to cause necessarily problems for him. I think they're aware that, there is interest in him. He is going to go, but I think they're going to do it respectfully. So from everything that's been said, even from, like, their president or whoever it is at Leipzig, when he was speaking the other day, it seems that way. So, Grace says Sesko is in agreement with Leipzig. If a special club come in for him, they will sell for a specific price. So, I mean, let's see. I mean, are we trying to say we're the special club? Newcastle's not special, yeah? I like that, Grace. I like that, Grace. So, we're special. Newcastle's not special. Newcastle's not special. So because we're special, we put in the bid. They're going to accept ours. I mean, listen, if they do this, I mean, the Newcastle fans are going to get absolutely cooked. We put in sort of a lower bid than them, supposedly Newcastle bid's been rejected. The first one was rejected, but so supposedly the second one's been rejected, and we come in with a lower offer and it gets accepted by Leipzig. That will send the social media ablaze. I'll laugh. I'll have a good laugh. It'll be good. Let's see. Let's see. Gray says if we are a special club, then Sesko will pick us. Well, I think from the reports he prefers us for sure. I think from what we're being told, they're saying that if he has both options on the table, he will pick United over Newcastle. And also, like I just said, I think United have put in the bid because I think him and his agent have told United this. I think they've made it abundantly clear that he has given us the priority over Newcastle. I think he's made it abundantly clear, which is why I think we've gone in. Box says Anthony is very, very annoying, only wanting Bettis. Yeah, and Bettis is annoying too because these guys just want a loan, and they're just holding out for a loan. So, I mean, they've sold a couple players. They have money. But they again, like we've been saying for some time. I mean, they just don't like I don't agree with it. Like if you want the player, put your money where your mouth is and pay for the guy. Like stop trying to dick around with a loan. Like you have some type of money, make some type of deal where maybe you give us some now and give us some later. Like I don't know what to tell you, but like that sort of stuff I can't really stand. I really can't stand it. Like if you want the player, if the player is good and you deem him a good player, then buy him. Like buy him. Like why are you trying to dick around with the deal? Be like, oh, we love Anthony, but like we're not willing to put any money for it. We just want a loan. Like the loan doesn't help us. The loan doesn't help our situation. That we're looking to offload him permanently. We're looking for money. So like help yourself a little bit and make a fair deal. Like make a fair deal. Stop trying to be a bunch of dickheads, essentially. This is how I see it. Box is same with Garnacho and Chelsea. Well, yeah, the thing with Chelsea is that Chelsea or Chelsea. Chelsea already have 77 wingers. And also they just keep buying players. So for Chelsea, it's a little bit of a different aspect because they don't necessarily have to buy him, and they can probably go buy whoever they want. But they're also dicking around. If they really want him, they can come buy him and put in a good offer. But they're playing around. But they're in more of a position to play around because they have players and they have many targets and they have a lot of money, and they spent a lot of money. Box says, I give up on Sancho being sold, to be honest. He'll leave as a free agent. Well, probably at this point. It looked like maybe we were going to get lucky and be able to get rid of him. But clearly that hasn't materialized, unfortunately. So I think with him, we just got to take the L on that one, because of the situation that's in. Colin says it would be a good target for Chelsea to sign Garnacho. We'll see. They have an abundance of players there, and maybe, but maybe not. Maybe not. Box says Joker seemed like a lot of nonsense talk from journalists. Sporting were using us to spur on Arsenal. Yeah, at the end they were, for sure, Box. They were. Sporting were definitely, especially the reports that were coming out of Portugal, once Arsenal were actually involved, they were. There was that report that United apparently, I think I remember now, it came from Portugal, that United made a bid or something like that, and that wasn't true. Once Arsenal was actually involved, I think they were using it to try and push Arsenal to do the deal to get it over with. So yeah, I think maybe it was some nonsense talk from journalists, but I do think that we were looking at him. I think we were interested in him. I just don't think we didn't go too far with it, and it didn't get too serious because I think from the talks that we held with him, I think he made it clear, like, kind of this situation. Like, I'm not telling, like, I'm pretty sure he basically told United, like, I'm not telling you no, like, I won't join at all. I'm just letting you know, like, you're not my first choice, you're not my first option, and like, I'm looking to go to this club. And United were like, all right, well, I guess we'll kind of see how it goes. And we stuck around a little bit in the background, but then once it was more abundantly clear that Arsenal were actually serious and the move was going to be materialized more, we just stepped back even further, because as we've seen, United are not United so far they have not made a bid for a player that, one, we didn't get, and also two, that we weren't 110% sure that we are the main target. And I think they've made that clear. I mean, I remember Ruben, when he said that we're gonna buy players that want to come to United. I think if you translate that a little bit more into what we're seeing, it goes even as far as to, like, we're not even going to try and produce a bid for a player that isn't 100% set on coming to Manchester United. Basically, what we're doing is we're having discussions with players, and if the player doesn't give us an indication that that says Manchester United is my first target on the list and I want to come to the football club, you are number one on the list, we're not even wasting time necessarily. And then if we are given that, we are going in for the player. So Lucky says, I only listen to main journalists, Laurie Whitwell, David Ornstein, Sally Gall. Sully Gall been seeing following transfers perfect, and he is reliable. All right. Grace says Newcastle will be in the mud if they don't get Sesko, but they will still get players in, and Howe is a fantastic coach and makes players better. Well, I do agree with that. I think Eddie Howe is a very good coach and very good manager, and I think he can make players better. Well, I think they do well in terms of, since he's been there, getting the correct personnel in. I used them at the end of last season or so to kind of compare, because they do play a similar formation to us. They do play a similar style. But, I mean, when we matched up, I mean, you look at the players we had in terms of their characteristics, and in the positions that they play and the characteristics that the Newcastle players have. I mean, the Newcastle players, especially in that second match of the season we played, I mean, they were stronger, they outmuscled us, they were quicker, and they had a better understanding all around as a team. So he is good in that aspect. They definitely will be in the mud, but they have How. They'll still be there competing to a certain extent. But we'll see how it goes. Gray says Betis will get a loan this season, then tell him to run down his contract next summer and go for free to Betis. Well, I think that's probably what they're trying to do, Grace. I think that's what they're trying to hope for. I mean, I don't think we can. We can't allow that to happen. We can't. We shouldn't. To me, that's unacceptable. That's something that it's a shit situation. It's a difficult situation, but that's why, they're in the job that they're in. They got to figure out how to solve this problem, solve it, and make sure that the club actually get some sort of a good deal or something. So, I mean, if they, at the very least, minimum, it's not ideal, but minimally, if they get in the loan, they have to have, sort of a fixed fee at the end of the loan. I mean, I don't think they can't get away with a loan and and no obligation to buy. There has to be something. We got to get something out of it as well. So, I mean, let's see what happens. But Jean-Philippe Mateta, Ali Watkins, all better options for United. You think so, Lucky? You think so? I mean, they're good players. I'm not against them. But, I'll take Sesko. Lyle says Joker's agent played a dangerous game this window. He did, but, I mean, they got the move. So, Lucky says 1 trophy in the Champions League. Grace says we won a trophy. Hold that Arsenal. we did, and they still haven't won. So, um, Newcastle United need quickly get Watkins. Now Sesko think F up. Has to be a loan with an obligation, but that's what I'm saying, Grace. I mean, at the very least, it's not ideal. I would just like him. I would just like them to give us money and let's get it over with. Um, but I think at the minimum, I mean, I would probably go to the point of being like, you know what? You want a loan, you got to have an obligation to buy. And if you don't accept the obligation to buy, then, F off, and we'll just keep him here. And we'll try and figure out what to do with him if we keep him here and play a little bit of hardball. And maybe they call our bluff on it and maybe we get stuck with him or maybe they panic, and they actually, show their hand. But I don't think United, I don't think like, Wilcox and the others, I don't think you can accept Anthony to go on another loan and no obligation to buy. I think if they do that, I think that's an L. I think that's a huge L in their department. I think if you do that, you got to get something out of it. You got to get something out of it. So, let me just double check the news again to see if we got anything else. What time is it anyway? Ooh, it's getting late. So we did just get another update. So, and this is from Fabrizio Romano. I'm just double checking to make sure that there's nothing else besides this. So, yeah. So Fabrizio has just given us another update. It might be something repeated. I don't know until I read it. I just see that Fabrizio has said something. So Fabrizio has just said now Manchester United are negotiating with Leipzig over an 85 million euro bid for Sesko. Newcastle awaits a quick response. United believes Sesko prefers them, but no financial decision has been made. So I kind of feel like, so based off of what Fabrizio is saying, I don't think Samuel Luckhurst is correct in saying that Newcastle's bid was rejected because Fabrizio's not saying that. Fabrizio is saying that United are in direct contact right now with Leipzig, discussing the details of the 85 million euro bid that we sent for Sesko. And he's saying Newcastle want final answer ASAP from club/player. And United internally feel they have Sesko's preference. No official decision has been made yet. So I think Newcastle is still in it, and I don't think Leipzig has made a decision in any aspect yet. So hopefully we get one by, today at the end of the day, and hopefully it goes our way because, but it seems like the add-ons are supposedly easily achievable. So I wonder what they are. We'll probably know that, if the deal is accepted and goes through, we'll learn what the add-ons actually are. Easily achievable, maybe it's like playing a certain amount of games, certain amount of matches after certain amount of matches. Maybe it has to do with certain amount of goals, and maybe the goal tally isn't like super high or something like that. So, I mean, we'll see what those are, or at least hopefully we'll see what those are. Because if they accept it, we will see what they are. So, yeah, we're just waiting. We're just waiting right now. Gray says he still has a book value, unlike Garnacho and Rashford, and Ineos don't want the loss on the books, so maybe a loan this summer, then his book value is less next season, so bettors pay less. I mean, that's a good point. It's a good point, and it's something that you got to take into consideration, Grace. So maybe, but then also I kind of feel like if that was the case, Grace, you know what are we holding out for in terms of Anthony and making the move? I mean, he wants to go there. They want the loan. If we're so worried about the book value, why have we not materialized the deal then to just do it and get it to go? I think United, I don't think United are happy about loaning him. I don't think they're excited about it. I think they are trying to get somebody to put in an actual bid or get them to actually pay. So Grace says 85 million euros is crazy. 85 million euros is 73 million pounds total package, I think. So it will be 65 million pounds plus add-ons. Yes, it is. 65. I think it's 65 million pounds or 68. They're saying something like that. There's been a little bit of discrepancy in the total price. A couple of euros or pounds here and there. So, I mean, listen, 65 million pounds is, we paid that for basically Cunha, like Lyle is saying, and we paid it for Mbuemo as well. So it is sort of in terms of what the club has pretty much set out as their how much they want to spend on transfers. It's in that ballpark. You know what I mean? It's in that ballpark. So it's not like they are sticking to sort of their idea or their word, because it's not like they're paying 80 million pounds in terms of the upfront money. Add-ons are add-ons. Again, I think I guess it's on a personal level, but I think the correct way to view it is it's really about the base pay. Add-ons are, again, I mean, if you're paying add-ons, that means the player is at least doing what he's supposed to be doing. And in this term, I mean, it depends what the add-ons actually are. I mean, if it's appearances, if it's after a certain amount of appearances, I mean, that's just like, you could kind of probably throw that into the fixed fee, because that's basically a given. But if it's like performance based, like, him scoring 20 goals, listen, if he scores 20 goals, give him the extra money, because that means he's doing well for us. If it's him, if it's us, if it's us like finishing in the top six or something, I mean, he's going to help us get there. So I think you pay it. Yeah, the only thing I would say is, if it's appearances based, like if it's like kind of like in FIFA or whatever, manager mode, like after 40 appearances, pay an extra 5 million. I mean, that's kind of like, it's kind of a very light one. It's a very much a given, because it's like, how are you going to sign a 22-year-old striker that's not going to play like 40 matches for you? You know what I mean? And you could play the 40 matches and he could be shit for 40 matches. You know what I mean? So, but it depends, I guess, what they are. It could be a bit misleading, because they're saying they're easily achievable. Like, what does that actually mean? What do they consider easily achievable? Because easily achievable in my mind is like him playing 30 matches. I think that's easily achievable. But it might not be that. It might be him scoring 15 goals or something, or whatever. So, or us finishing like, eight, like in the top 8 or something. I don't know. So we got to see. Lucky says 8 million pounds. Glad we got 3.3. Everton, Manchester United have 48 million left to spend. How'd you do that math? We have 48 million pounds left to spend. Where'd you get that figure from, Lucky? I mean, I'm just asking because I don't know. Well, I don't know. But Lila says, yeah, all the signings have been around that mark. I don't think it's bad business. I don't think it's that bad. I think some people, I get it. Why? Because he's not the experienced striker, the ready-made striker that I think we asked for, or that we said we needed. So I get why people are saying that. But then again, you could make arguments for both sides of the coin. You can, say that like he's not that experienced striker, and it is quite a lot of money for somebody, I guess, in that mold. But then, if you look at what we've decided that we're okay with spending as a football club, um, it's fitting into what the club have set out as, I guess, their sort of strategy. So in terms of a club aspect of like, kind of similar to what Man City did for numerous amounts of years. They didn't spend over like about 65 million on all the players that they signed over the course of a number of years. I mean, we're kind of doing that in a certain way. We're trying to spend around that mark, nothing too much more, not going crazy. Um, Not spending 60 million for one player and then spending 85 million on another player. I think the targets we're looking at are all around that range or under. And so far, that's what we've done. So glad we drew the Everton game, says Lucky. Should have gone for DCL, says Christ. No. 8 million in back pocket. Oh, because of the okay. I gotcha. If United are paying add-ons, that means the player and the club are doing well. Yeah, as long as the add-ons are actually like decently performance based, because usually they are, right? They usually are like performance based in terms of like, if he gets 20 goals or 30 goals or whatever, if he gets like 10 assists or something like that, you give him extra money. I just want to see what they are, because they're saying that they're easily achievable. That's the quote. Easily achievable, they told us. So I sent you something on Discord. Can you look now? I can't look now because I don't have Discord on the laptop and I'm streaming from the phone. And if I go and look in Discord right now, the stream will stop. So I apologize, Grace. I can. Manchester United might have around 55 million pounds left. But again, I mean, can you explain how, from like beginning to end? Give us the math equation like, what did we start with? And how might we have 55 million pounds left? Because I just want to know how you're getting that number, because I don't know. I don't know what we have left. I can't tell you. I don't even know, if we have anything left. Maybe we do. I have no clue. I don't think Twitter is down. Whoever said that. I did see somebody said that Twitter is down. I don't think Twitter is down. Yeah, I don't think Twitter's down. Twitter seems to be working for me. So, did we just get another update? Let me open this, because there's an article about Sesko's possible wages, and we'll say possible because apparently it's possible. I guess they don't know. No, that's the same thing for Britzo says. So let me read this real quick. Benjamin Sesko, possible Manchester United wages with club confident of full agreement. All right, let me read it. United confident of securing Sesko signing. Yeah, we know that much. Please load. Okay. Tell me, how much could Sesko earn at United? All right, let's see this. Let's see what they're saying. So, Mateus Cunha and Brian Mbeumo. Oh, did this thing die? No. Sorry about that. I thought the mic died. Mateus Cunha and Brian Mbeumo are both on a relatively modest £150,000 a week plus bonuses, which is expected to rise around $200,000 a week if they qualify for the Champions League. Sesko is currently earning around £93,000 a week in Germany, according to Capology. Considering Cunha was earning £90,000 a week at Wolverhampton Wanderers before his move, Sesko could see a similar salary to his at Old Trafford. Cunha is a more important player for United currently, and his pedigree of Premier League experience puts him above Sesko initially. So the latter's wages could sit around 130,000 to 140,000 a week plus bonuses, is what they are guessing. They are guessing that that's what it's going to be. I mean, yeah, I don't think it's going to go over 150,000. I mean, if it is to be true that he's earning around 93,000 pounds a week, and Cunha was earning 90,000 pounds a week, I think he's probably going to get somewhere close to Cunha and Mbuemo, if not a little bit less. So, again, like, you do these deals, you spend the money, but when we're looking at it, I mean, these wages, especially for somebody like Sesko, who's 22, maybe going to be 23 soon, on 130,000 to maybe 140,000 a week plus bonuses, is way better. It's something that if it doesn't work out, we shouldn't be ending up in situations like we're in with Anthony, or even slightly what we were in with Rashford or Sancho, or even Rasmus Højlund. I know his wages aren't the highest, but we paid a lot of money for him, and he hasn't done well. But there is still interest in Rasmus. Like, Inter supposedly want him, and a couple other clubs. So it's not like nobody actually wants Rasmus. Because again, I think if we bought Rasmus for 78 million and we gave him 250,000 a week, I think nobody would even try to buy him. But you do a deal like this, like, it can work out for us in terms of, like, if it doesn't work out, we would be able to move him on, and do something different with those wages. So Lucky said that we spent 120 million on Mbuemo and Cunha. My man, we are into single digits looking to sell Garnacho for 46 million. Yeah. All right. So still have sound. All right. We spent 120 million at the moment. We thankfully got 8 million getting summer series. Okay, we got 8 million from that. All right, so that makes sense. I mean, we'll see. I did say that before, Lucky, though. I mean, I think maybe some people are a bit surprised that we were able to put in this bid, because I think there was the discussion that, we don't have money, we need to sell to buy. And that's why we kind of were stalling, I guess. But if we're putting in this, I think maybe that's probably it. I think after that, then we have to probably sell. I don't think we're going to go over that. I think, because it is close to 180 million or something like that, or a little bit over, right? So, I mean, we would then have to probably, I think close to 200 million. Maybe, maybe we had 200 million to spend. So what, we're going to have like 20 left over. I think then we do actually have to sell to get the midfielder. I think that's kind of what I said in the beginning anyway. Grace says, yeah, Capology says 108,000 euros, which is around 94,000 pounds. Okay. All right. At least they got their reporting accurate. Sesko should be on no more than 100 and 120K. Yeah, I mean, I think that's fair as well. He's young. And I think I would like the players to come to United and prove themselves in terms of, if you want to get paid like the big money, and you're not proven in the Prem, I think you should, and you want to come to Manchester United, you should be willing to come to Manchester United because it's Manchester United, and then come to United and be like, you know what, I'm gonna earn that big wage. I'm gonna deserve to get paid more money by coming to the football club and performing. And I think that's one of the things that obviously I think Ineos have been trying to fix, but I, said for quite a bit of time. Clearly, the players we were getting before, um, we were handing them big money before they even put on a kit for United and did anything. So we basically rewarded them with a huge pay increase, and they never did anything for us. So it wasn't like they had to really fight for anything. We basically gave them the cake before they even got the presents. Um, so yeah, I mean, maybe it goes up a little bit, Grace, because Newcastle are involved. So maybe we have to give them a little bit extra. But I don't. I think it makes sense that you know there'd be a big argument not to give him the same as Embuemo and Cunha. So probably it might be a little bit less. Like you said, 100 to 120K. I think that's fair. But he's on 95. They're obviously going to ask for more. I think it could probably end up around 130, 140,000 if it happens. So. Is it me, or does that Reddit post look very positive in terms of PSR? Am I reading it wrong? Yeah, I can't see. I'm gonna have to check out after. I know already our PSR is good, but in terms of players, Anthony is the one which we could have a knock if sold less than book value. I think that's again. I think that's why United. I think United want to sell him, and maybe they are looking at that sort of the book value type of thing, and this is why they're holding out, because they want the fee, so that they want the fee so that it doesn't have a knock, and that it sort of balances itself out. So I think that's why nothing has materialized yet, because I don't think United are too thrilled to do a loan. I think they're trying to get money. They clearly, obviously, would prefer money and a permanent deal. My whole thing is just worst comes to worst at a minimum. If you're doing the loan, you have to force them into, you know, a fixed fee at the end of it. There's no way they should be able to get the loan and then not even have a fixed fee, because it's just going to put us in a worse situation. Grace says Sesko in 4 years' time is going to want his final contract, but he should earn it first. No, 100%, 100%. And I think that's the correct way to do things, and I think it's fair as well. Listen, he's obviously going to get a pay increase, because it happens when you buy a player from one club to the next. When they get the new contract, they always get a pay increase. I think we've been good with the wages. I think we've been fair with the wages. I think we've been smart with the wages. I think, especially when you compare it to the past, in the past deals that we've done, the wages have been absolutely, horrible in the past, where, we're giving players 250,000, 275,000, 300,000 a week, and they didn't earn it. So it's not going to be on that level. I don't have, listen, I know some people are very strict, or very, very tight about it. That's fine. For me, if you're talking about anywhere from 100,000 to 140,000, it's somewhere in that range. It doesn't bother me too much. It doesn't make that much of a big deal for me, because if you give them, yeah, 1,000, or they want 110,000, or they want 110,000 and it goes 140,000, I'm not too fussed about it. But it's not like we're going from, instead of 110,000, we've given them 210,000. I think that's a big one. So we did lose connection a little bit. Somebody called me. Listen, I gotta go, because I actually have to be somewhere, and I got people calling me. That's why we lost the connection. So I know you guys lost me, so I apologize for that. But we will go live again. You guys have been fantastic. It's been very, very good to talk to you guys. It was too long. I will see if maybe we can do a live tomorrow, because I think something's gonna come out of this. So I'll check. Thursday I'm not gonna be able to do one, and then maybe at the end of the week I'll keep you guys updated as best as I can. I know last time I told you that I wanted to do a stream, and we ended up not doing it. It just, some of the days are unpredictable. I don't know what we do every day, and some days I'm not heavily available. So, it was great to talk to you guys. Thank you to everybody that smashed the like button, by the way. I mean, we got 19 likes doing the mobile stream, and we haven't been live for 2 weeks. So shout out to everybody that smashed the like button. Shout out to anybody that is new and subscribed, and shout out to, the day ones that are always here and have always been here. You guys are the best. So, yeah, I mean, I try to keep you guys updated as best as possible in the Discord. I will try my best, but it's been Grace is new. Grace is new. Shout out Grace. Grace is new. Yeah. But I'll let you guys know. Hopefully, we get this deal over the line, and we, we get this signing going. You look at that front three. You have Mbuemo, Cunha, and Sesko, and that front three looks way different, and United look way different, and we feel a bit different. So hopefully it works out. So I will catch you guys later. Everybody be good. Have a good day, or evening or night, wherever you are in the world. Stay safe. Be good. Thank you again for the support. See you for the here we go. Well, hopefully, because you never know when we get the here we go. So if I'm available to do the here we go, I will do the here we go. If I can, maybe we'll end up doing the here we go somewhere live in the street. I don't know how well that would go, but yeah, I mean, we don't know. So Grace says we are winning the league. I hope so. I hope so. Here we go to Newcastle. I'll be here, says Grace. No, that's not the here we go we want. A lot of this on the phone spazzing out. Be good. Enjoy.